back to the book. I do not care for either one. Oh, sorry. It says lines and entrenchments. So he's talking about lines and entrenchments, meaning defensive positions. I do not care for either the one or the other of these works. When I hear talk of lines, I always think I am hearing of talk of the walls of China. The good ones are those that nature has made, and the good entrenchments are good dispositions and brave soldiers. Again, just capitalizing on nature and saying that brave soldiers are more important than your position. Man always fears the consequences of danger more than danger itself. Totally true. And I'll tell you what's equally, or you could throw in there, is the anticipation of danger is probably the worst thing.
Yeah.
You know, I see this. I see a lot of kids on the wrestling mat right now because it's wrestling season, and you can see the kids get nervous before they get on the mat. But then once they get on the mat, they're in the game.
Yeah.
And now you're doing your job. Yeah. But the anticipation of what could happen. Yeah. Drives people crazy.
When is that? Like, you know, because you felt that before. Or, you know, back in the day when we were competing.
Yeah.
That, like, in jiu-jitsu tournaments, though, were especially back. Actually, one of your last competitions was my first competition. Really? By the way, yeah.
Where was that?
In LA. It was called like the Pan Ams of submission grappling. It wasn't the Pan Ams. Oh. It was like, I think like submission grappling. It was no.
How did I do?
I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, I remember seeing all the pictures because it's funny. One of the, like, it's not
was
an
it
iconic.
A tournament?
It was a tournament. Yeah. So remember Alicia photos? Remember
Who
that?
ran it? Who ran it? Who ran the tournament?
I have no idea. I didn't even know there was tournaments, and I saw one. Or Brand at the time was like, "Yeah, there's a tournament." I was like, "Oh, we can have tournaments." I was like, "Boom!" So I just jumped on it real quick.
What was the iconic photo?
I say it's iconic because it's a kind of a long story.
That's a strong word.
Yeah, very strong. It's not iconic at all, actually. But it's okay. I have this guy. His name is Jim. You'll probably know him, Jim. Mm-hmm. I have him in it's not an Americana, it's a straight arm lock. Mm-hmm. And I wound up tapping him out. And Alicia Photos, though, that was the photographer at the time, the main one. Had a really good picture of it. It was such a good picture. It was on the front of her website, the picture, right? That's why I call it iconic photo. Anyway, full-on novice.
Everyone knows that photo. Everyone.
They probably do if they're competing back in the day, if they know Alicia Photos. Anyway, the full-on, like, novice division.
Right.
I was like, I had been trained for 2 months, twice a week, by the way. Mm-hmm. For 2 months, boom, novice.
Still just dominating out there.
Winning,
look at you.
Winning. Yeah. No, I actually lost. I lost my first match, took third. Nonetheless, doesn't matter. So I know that you did it because when I was looking through the pictures, it was you compete. I think you were competing against like Sokoju or somebody. I think. Huh. But I remember
I've ever
you
competed against Sokoju.
Yeah, well, it was maybe, I don't know, some other black guy. But I don't know. Huh. I remember it was you because I remember you.
I'll have to check that out.
Nonetheless,
I'll have to explore that.
But what was the point there? Oh yeah, waiting for the match is like. That's the nerve-wracking part. Yeah. Like rolling, even when you step on the mat and you see the guy in front of you getting right back, that's not nerve-wracking at all. That's like every day you see that.
There was a iconic picture of Sarge. This is pretty iconic. And he was going against one of the Gracie's kids. So it was Henner or...
I think it was Halleck.
Was it Halleck?
I think so, yeah.
And he's double legging him. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Sarge has got like the savage double leg, which Sarge has a savage double leg. It's another thing when I see these. By the way, talking about Brian Sargent, one of my buddies who has a jiu-jitsu school in Connecticut. It's called Jiu-Jitsu Life. But he's a good wrestler. But when I see these kids, and he wrestled at Poway High School, which is one of the best wrestling high schools maybe in the country. I mean, it's definitely incredible program. And he went there and wrestled there. And I see, and occasionally I'll see a kid that just has Sarge's attitude. And I saw one at this last tournament. This kid was just all over hitting. I mean, it didn't look fair, right? I mean, he was just murdering. This kid from Poway was getting after it. It was pretty awesome to watch. And you could see just boom, 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 he's hitting the doubles. But it reminded me of the iconic picture of Sarge
Oh, there's a picture of it.
So yeah, there's a picture of Sarge, and they put him on. It was one of those pictures that was so good that they put it like on the cover. And I don't know if it was that one or if it happened later in the match. He was double legging him out of bounds, like he was into the tables. It was just mayhem. So yeah, you gotta watch out for Sarge's double legs. He'll put you on your ass quick.
Yep.
And he won too. Sarge won. Hard to submit. So like if you just got taken down, that's 2 points.
Right.
And now what are you gonna do? Because you can't sweep Sarge, right? It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you can, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You only have a few minutes. And it's hard to submit. Oh, but you got back to your feet. Cool. You just got taken out again.
Yeah, yeah. That's the rub with the real good judo guys or wrestler guys. That's the rub.
What's the rub? Oh, how do you solve that problem?
Yeah,
become a better wrestler.
Typically, that's not it.
Yeah,
because
when Tyron Woodley fought Damian Maia, and Damian is an incredible jiu-jitsu player, and he couldn't get Tyron down to the mat. Yep. And every time he shot, I would hit my son, and because every time Damian shot, Tyron would just stuff the shot, and I'd hit my son and go, "That's why you wrestle. That's why you wrestle, boy, because you're gonna be able to take people down." Yeah. And then once you get to the ground, if you have the jiu-jitsu, well, now you got problems. Yeah. Because Tyron didn't want to go to the ground with Damian.
No.
Because that would have been very problematic for him.
Yeah. But Tyron Woodley is a wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
You know, was that you who said there's a difference between someone who can wrestle versus a wrestler?
Yes, that was me. Yes.
Yes. Tyron Woodley is, and that's why I say that's not the problem, or that's why I say that's not the solution. If you have a wrestler always taking you down, and the solution is to get better at wrestling, that's not the solution, because you want to get better at something that this guy's probably getting better, and this is just chances are. I'm not saying it's an absolute, but he's probably A, getting better, B, already super good at it. So it's like the solution isn't to chase something
that's 12 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
He's 8 years ahead of you in wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's not the solution. I don't know what this
I'm not saying don't wrestle. Well, I'll tell you what I think the solution is off the top of my head. You learn enough wrestling, and then you figure out how to incorporate your jiu-jitsu into the wrestling, so that, and I say this all the time, and Dean will tell you the same thing. Dean will hesitate to shoot on me because he knows there's significant threats there. He'll shoot all day on a good wrestler because he doesn't care what happens. They're not gonna catch him, most likely. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously a jiu-jitsu wrestler, it's gonna happen, and I feel the same way. I'll shoot all day on a good wrestler because I don't care. They're not gonna catch me anything, and if they do, I'll be able to do the proper defense and escape it. But Dean, no, that's a real problem. Yeah. Same with Andy. You shoot on Andy, it's like, okay, that could be problematic. Yeah. And not even just pay for it. You can lose right there. Yeah. Yeah. Andy and I have been a problem. Whoever shoots loses. Yeah, because we both have good anti-wrestling. So
yeah, that's it. That's the solution right there. You got to figure out the counter, the kryptonite to the wrestling. Right. In whatever way, because that's not just just do that. That's not how it is. But that's the direction. That's the solution.
Yeah, and there's problems with that. Well, there's not problems with that. One of the easiest ways is to be very, I guess this is a problem, is to be very non-aggressive. Because if all you're trying to do is avoid getting taken down, you already are a lot harder to take down than if you're like, if I go in and start trying to take down a wrestler, they're going to put me on my ass because I'm trying to take them in. They know their counter's that much better. Their timing's that much better. They hit the switch, boom, all of a sudden I'm down, But if I'm just trying to avoid you, it's the same thing with somebody that's a really good striker. If your goal is if you start striking with a striker that's better than you, you are more likely to get knocked out. You're more likely to get hit because you're playing that's the point. You're playing their game. Yeah. And you don't want to play their game. Mm-hmm. Now, what sucks about that, and it even happened in the Tyron Woodley fight, it was a boring fight because it was shots getting stuffed, stand up, some striking, shots getting stuffed, stand up, striking, shots getting stuffed. That's what the fight was. It was a very boring fight because his goal was to not get taken down. Yeah. Andy's a wrestler, so he had the capability of doing it, and that was that.
I'll tell you what you do for a wrestling situation. This is one of those simple, it's not easy at all, but simple. You find a way to get to the back from the bottom.
Well, that's great. I mean, you find a way to submit them. That's great too.
No,
you know
but get to the back, because Tippett and Andre Galvao told me
them to their back.
No, get on their back. Sorry,
for sure.
Get on their back. He told me this when he was gonna fight Chael Sonnen for Maurice, and he was like, yeah, it's interesting fighting wrestlers or whatever. It's like they can provide like that. I'm totally paraphrasing. They can provide these really hard situations for you in jiu-jitsu for many reasons. They're super hard people to fight. But if you can figure it out, you got to figure out ways where wrestling provides weaknesses in a jiu-jitsu scenario.
Yeah,
and then if you watch the match, sure enough, like Chael Sonnen was really good at stuffing, and then you could see Galvao was like just slowly, and then he got to the back.
And I used to coach Dean with the same idea of, if he was going against a good wrestler, I'd say use your jiu-jitsu. If he's going against a good jiu-jitsu guy, I'd say use your wrestling. Dean would have a tendency, because of his personality, to want to go against them in their strength.
Oh, yeah.
So he'd try and out wrestle wrestlers. He'd try and out jiu-jitsu guys. Yeah. He would. That's his natural tendency, would be to go at people's strengths. And I'd have to say, no, do jiu-jitsu against this guy, and then he'd do it and get what he needed to get.